everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jax and today I bring to you a video answering one of my most asked questions. Where do I get my brushes in Medibang? Anyone who's been watching my videos for a while now know that my program of choice is Medibang Paint Pro. I've been using the program for about the past year and a half or so, and all the speed paints and art you've seen on this channel have been done using this program. And in my opinion, it's a pretty great program. However, I will admit it can be pretty limited. For anyone opening up Medibang for the first time, you'll notice that the default brush options leave a bit to be desired, which can be a bit frustrating because this really limits what you can achieve with this program. So I'm here today to tell you the 4 easiest ways you can get more brushes in Medibang Paint Pro. And to make sure you stay tuned to the end of each tip, because I'll go through some of the brushes I personally like to use and what I like to use them for. Now, just a small disclaimer, I am in no way sponsored by Medibang, it's just a program that I like, and it's a great drawing software for beginners, especially because it's completely free. But because I haven't seen too many tutorials out there about how to maximize its full potential, I know a lot of new users get a bit stuck, particularly with the seemingly lackluster brush options the program seems to offer at first glance. Okay, so I've just opened up Medibang here, and if it's your first time downloading the program, this is probably what it will look like. Over here we have the brushes dialog box, and this is where all the action is going to happen. Every new brush we introduce into the program will be accessible inside this list of brushes here. And just quickly going through all we have, the default options cover a lot of the basics. Medibang was created specifically for manga artists and illustrators, so as a result, these tools are great for making clean lines and crisp shapes. You also have the basic eraser tools, as well as a couple of more interesting textured pens, such as the G pen and the nice watercolor ones. And we also have some interesting tools like the symmetry pens, which are great for creating these kind of interesting lines and patterns that you might need at some point in your drawing career. So with all that said, let me get started with tip number 1. Okay, so this is probably one of the easiest methods for getting more brushes in Medibang. Most of you may already know this one, but if you don't, you're really missing out. Medibang has a secret cloud of extra brushes that you can easily download once you've made an account with them. To do this, whenever you open up the program, you get this little pop-up over here. If you follow the prompts, it will basically ask you to create an account with the Medibang site. And doing this gives you access to a bunch of additional features. Creating an account is completely free and you don't really need to do anything more once you've done it, and in my experience I haven't gotten any spam from it either, so it's definitely worth doing. Once you've done this, you'll get access to what's known as the Medibang Cloud, which has a bunch of extra brushes you can download directly into your program. So I'm just going to go ahead and make an account by signing up here, and we'll be back once I'm in. So I've successfully made an account now. All we needed to do really was enter an email and a username and a password, and then we're pretty much in. You can also sign up with, I think, your Google account as well, so plenty of options. It's pretty easy. Once you're in, you're in. So we're just going to close this little box here now. Now we can download some extra brushes by accessing the Medibang Cloud. You can access the cloud just by clicking this little button at the bottom right of the brushes box here. And just wait for a bit for the brushes to load. Should be coming very soon. There we go. Okay, and basically, wow, amazing. Look at all these brushes you can add into your program. So just going to quickly scroll through these. Yep, so you have all of them, and then there's even a page 2, I think. There we go. Alright, so I think this can be a bit overwhelming if you're seeing this for the first time. It definitely adds a lot more materials for you to use in addition to these kind of default brushes here. So in order to add one, let's just go with the, let's see, which one should we go with? Let's go with the watercolor square. So to add it, basically all you have to do is double click and it will download it. So then you close this box and scroll down, and there we have it. You have a nice new brush to use there. Now, as you saw, there were a lot of different brushes to choose from. I suggest opening a blank canvas like I have here and just download a bunch of these brushes at the same time and just have a play around to see which ones work for you. So just going through some of the ones that I find really helpful. Let's just go down, 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 down. Going down here, we have the flat brush. Now, these are one of my favorite ones for painting in large colors and also texturing and painting fur and everything else that I do. So I do quite enjoy both of these. So I'm just going to double click both of them. And as you can see, all these settings are already laid in there for you, and you can immediately paint with them as you want. One of the other things I like to do with these brushes is just to duplicate one of these, like this dry one here, and then just double tap, and then you have a bunch of these other options you can edit, and this will apply to that specific brush that you just duplicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reduce the minimum width down so you can just get a bit of a pointed tip at the ends here. Press OK, and these will save the brush settings. So now you have one brush, dry, which has a flatter end, and then you have another one which has a sharper tip. So if I can just show, here we go. This one has a nice, that changes with the pressure sensitivity. And this one will stay consistently large even as the pressure lessens. Okay, cool. So that's what we have for the Medibang Cloud. I really highly recommend you guys go and explore those new brush features. There are definitely some real treasures in there that you might find really helpful, especially when you want to get into painting and more kind of illustrative work that the default brush options don't really offer. Okay, so now on to my second tip. The second way you can get more brushes in Medibang is to make your own. Now this can seem pretty daunting at first because most people, including me, don't really know what goes into making an effective, efficient, useful brush. And then when we do try, we end up with something that doesn't quite work the way we intended it to. So my tip with making brushes is very much learn as you go. As you start drawing more and more, you'll notice there might be certain shapes you constantly need, and instead of manually creating those with each stroke, we can make a brush for those, and that makes the whole process a lot easier. So let me take you quickly through how I created one of my most commonly used brushes. And the best thing about this is that it's ridiculously simple. It's my ellipse brush, and I use it all the time. It's great for creating clean lines with really dramatic differences in brush width, and what I really like is using it for creating the surface of water. So let me just quickly open a new canvas here. You say about 512 by 512. Make sure it's transparent and then click OK, and then we have a nice clean canvas to work with. Okay, so to make this ellipse brush, what we have to do is go to our pen tool, make sure your min width is at about 100%, press OK, and then change the size to about 500. Okay, so now we have a big round brush there. And what we want is to just click the center, make sure none of the edges are cut off, and make a big black circle. And then we want to go select, transform, and just squish it down to about maybe halfway around here. Then click OK. And now we have a nice oval ellipse shape. Now to turn this into a brush, all we have to do is go back down to the dialog box here, click this button, and then click from canvas. And now we have the settings up of a new brush. So just quickly give it a name. So I'm just going to say ellipse. Leave it at bitmap. I will go through all these options at some other point in another tutorial maybe. But for now, we'll just leave this one at bitmap. And then leave all these options the same, and let's uncheck rotate along, let's reduce the min width just a touch, and let's see, we'll just reduce the brush spacing a bit as well, just a bit. Okay, maybe make that a little less. Press OK. Let's just go back to our little test canvas. So we'll create a new layer. Let's just uncheck that. And here we have a nice brush with some really nice dynamic changes in its line width that you can manipulate. And this is really great for, creating maybe some calligraphy or just some really nice dynamic line art. So another way I like to use this brush is to do the surface of water. So let me just show you what I mean by this. I'm just going to uncheck that one, create a new layer. And we're just going to do a nice blue, just make that really big, nice blue block here. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this brush like I've shown before. Just going to double click it and we're just going to play with some of these settings. Okay, we'll go scatter and then that will scatter the brushes as you can see there. And we'll just go rotate along and rotate random. Let's just turn it way down. There we go. Now they're all pretty much rotating in the exact same way. And now we're just going to go scatter strength a bit, maybe a bit lower actually. And then we'll just go particle size, just turn that up a bit. And then we'll just turn down the color jitter here. Okay, just press OK. Just going to select this color and then we're just going to go with a slightly lighter shade. Just apply it on and then we have a kind of nice, very, very simple, very rudimentary, if I have to say so myself, but still, as you can see, basically what we created is a nice kind of dappling effect that's great for doing a quick surface of the water type effect. Okay, and so that's basically how you create a new brush. Another way I like to do these is basically anytime I need to draw lots and lots of flowers. Those can be really, really annoying. So I often make a new brush just specifically for the shape of those flowers. So then I can basically use that brush to scatter on the silhouette of a bunch of those flowers onto a drawing and then go in with detailing all those flowers. So basically it just creates a nice shortcut to very quickly lay on the foundations of a shape before you go into detailing it. So this brings us to tip number 3. If you're not keen on creating your own brushes, luckily there are a lot of people out there who have created their own brushes and are nice enough to share them online for anyone to download and use. All you need to do is go to Google or your preferred search engine and type in the words Medibang brushes or Fire Alpaca brushes into the search engine. And for those who don't know, Fire Alpaca and Medibang are pretty much the same programs, both being created by the same company. Fire Alpaca is basically like a lighter version of Medibang, but both accept brushes in the same format, which is like as image files. Unfortunately, since these programs aren't the most used ones, the options for brushes aren't huge. But there are a few hidden gems. A lot of people always ask me where I get the brush I use to paint fur, and my first answer is the link's always down in the description. But you can also find it just by searching it up here. So if you just go down, and it's this one right here. And if you click it, it will direct you to the page with the brushes. And all you need to do is download them. And once you do, just export them to the folder you want them to. Double click to open the folder. Then you'll find all the brushes that are in this pack. So the one we want is this fur brush right here. And now what we want to do is open up Medibang, then open up the folder with those brushes. Just click and drag and add it into the brushes folder right there. And you'll find at the bottom, there it is. Now all we need to do is just double click this and then adjust the settings to make it how we want it to be. And the useful thing with this brush pack is it actually has little notes for how to adjust all the settings, but you can also just play around with them yourself until you get the right look. So I'm just going to do that right now. Just turn down the minimum width, then the brush spacing will just basically put all the particles a little closer together until we get a nice smooth line. Turn it down and then press opacity by pressure to get those nice tapering at the edges there. And then I think that's all we need to do, so just press OK. And now we should have a nice fur brush, good for texturing nice strands of fur. Awesome! There are heaps of these packs out there. Just have a look on the web and I'm sure you'll find some that you'll like and will find useful. That was pretty much one of the first things I did when I first got into Medibang, was just look for brushes and pretty much download everything and just eliminate the ones that I didn't end up using. But unfortunately, because Medibang and Fire Alpaca are kind of very small programs compared to many others, at the moment, options can be a bit limited. And that brings me to tip number 4. Now, if you found that the options I've been going through don't give you enough of a selection and you're like, wouldn't it be nice if we had the same selection of options, say Photoshop users have? It would be cool if we could take all these pre-existing Photoshop brushes and somehow make them work in Medibang. And I'm here to show you a really cool trick for doing just that. So most Photoshop brush packs you find on the internet are in ABR format. There are probably still some older formats lurking around, but generally ABR is the most commonly found ones. Now, these don't work with Medibang. Medibang takes brushes in the simple PNG image formats, and ABR files just aren't compatible with the program. But there are some free programs on the internet you can download called ABR Viewers, and basically what they do is they take these ABR files and they convert them all into individual PNG image files. Let me give you an example. Okay, so say we wanted to download this brush pack here. Everybody loves trees and flowers, so it's great to have little brushes to quickly blot in trees in your backgrounds. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just download the zip file here, wait for it to download, which is going to take a bit, so just bear with me. Okay, so we've downloaded our brush pack now. Just going to quickly unzip it so we can get all the brushes. Here we go. And as you can see, ABR files. Okay, so what are we going to do with these? We can't drag them into Medibang. We basically can't use them in the current state. What I have right here is an ABR viewer. Now this is the one for Mac. I believe there's also ones for PCs. You just have to go onto Google, just look up ABR viewer, and basically you'll find a program that will work. I think it runs on Java, so you probably need to make sure you have the latest version of that to ensure that it works. So I'm just going to double click to open it. And when it's opened, you get something that looks like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click add another directory. So what you want to do is navigate to the folder that has the brush pack you just unzipped. So here we have the trees, grass, and brushes. Just going to click that and then click choose this directory. Now what this does is it opens up this file right here and just going to double click that, and you can see you have the 2 ABR files. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click that, we're going to double click it, and basically what will happen once you do that is this program will take all the images, all the brushes in this ABR file and convert them into their own individual PNG images. And you can access all those PNG images by clicking this premade folder here, and here we go, here are all the trees. And now what happens is that the program actually creates 2 files. One of them is the brush itself, so the big image of the tree here, and the other one is the thumbnail of the tree. So this is specifically for Photoshop. When you open up Photoshop, you'll see that the brush uses this tree file, but then you also, whenever you have the brushes dialog open, you have the thumbnail of the brush as well as its dimensions. So this is made specifically for Photoshop, but you can basically just delete all these thumbnails and just save the images of the tree silhouettes. So all you have to do now is click and drag these images into Medibang. Let's just try that again. There we go. And there we have a tree for you to use. A tree. There we go. Trees. Yay, trees. Okay, and make sure, because by default, the ABR program just gives the brushes a number for their names. So make sure when you download it into Medibang, you give them a proper name. Otherwise, it's just going to get completely mixed up with all the brushes that you download, and you'll have a really hard time just picking out which brushes you want to use. Now, just as a disclaimer, since these are all originally Photoshop brushes, which the creator intended for use in Photoshop, most of them aren't going to work as well in Medibang as they do in the intended program. Medibang has a lot fewer brush options and settings than Photoshop, And often these brush packs will come with these image samples of how the brushes are intended to look. So don't expect to achieve quite the same appearance when you're using them in Medibang. You can definitely fiddle with some of these settings until you get a close kind of look, but in most cases they won't work in exactly the same way. And as I said before, I won't go into detail about how all these brush settings work right now, but it's just something to keep in mind when downloading Photoshop brushes for use in Medibang. Okay, so those were my 4 tips for getting more brushes in Medibang Paint Pro. Now, with all those options available, it can certainly become a little overwhelming deciding what brushes to download and use. So now I'm going to share some of the brushes that have become part of my daily rotation. Obviously, the brushes that I like aren't necessarily going to suit everyone. I tend to have quite a painty, soft style, but someone who prefers clean line art and cell shading will probably benefit from a completely different set of brushes. But these are the brushes that work for me, so I'm just going to show them to you now. Okay, to start off, we have the airbrush. And this is one of the default brushes, I think, that comes with Medibang. And you'll find this in pretty much any art drawing program out there. It's basically a very soft brush, and I really like it for just laying down nice big blocks of flat colors. And because of the soft edges, it blends well, so then you can pick and choose between the colors at the edges to create nice transitions between the two colors. Another one that's also one of the default brushes in Medibang is this watercolor brush. So I really like this brush for doing nice painty looks. It has a great soft blending tip at the end to blend colors together. And I've also made a duplicate of the same brush but with a smaller minimum diameter. So this one creates nice sharper points at the tip. Okay, so next up we have the flat brushes, which I have mentioned before. And these again, quite like the watercolor brushes, nice for laying down painty colors and great for blending and also just doing finer tip work as well. And of course we have the fur brush that I really like to use for texturing and creating nice fur strokes. This one's great for just adding that extra bit of shading and detail that really completes a character, in my opinion. Alright, so next up we also have these rock textures. Now these ones have become a much bigger part of my daily rotation of brushes than they did before. So I downloaded these from a brush pack I found on the internet. These were initially Photoshop brushes which I converted from their ABR formats into the image files, which I then imported into Medibang. And I'll leave a link for the brush pack in the description below in case you want to download and use these for yourselves. This texture specifically is just great for texturing trees and rocks at a distance very quickly. And yeah, I've just been using it a lot for my backgrounds. Okay, moving along, this is another one of the brushes that I created myself. It's the Small Stars brush. And basically what it is a dot, which I've set to scatter and made the particle sizes very small. And I've also pretty much randomized everything in the options, and these are just great for creating blots of stars, clusters of stars everywhere. And just adding that bit of sparkle at the end of the piece and making them glow. Just really nice finishing touches. Some other ones that I've picked up recently, and these are also Photoshop brushes. This little leafy one. It's just like creates nice tops of bushes. Really just great for rendering large chunks of bushes and leaves. And similarly, we have a bunch of other ones that I've downloaded as well. Just nice leafy brushes. Really good shortcuts when you're painting big environments. Okay, so that's it for all the brushes that I currently use in my daily rotation. It's definitely a very dynamic process. You're constantly creating and deleting brushes from your box. It's really about what you need at the time you need it. So I really just recommend going out there, exploring your options, and see what brushes work for you. And now you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. This is one of the first tutorials I've made for this channel, and it hopefully won't be the last. I already have a few more planned, like a video explaining all the brush setting options in Medibang, and also another one about how I paint fur, which a lot of people have also requested. Just wanted to let you all know, I hear you, those tutorials will definitely be coming in the future. If you have something you would like a tutorial of, let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, I do hope you've liked this video. Remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. It really means a lot to me that this channel is growing and that so many people out there are watching and liking my art. Also, do follow me on all these various social media sites. I am literally on every platform I can maintain, so follow whichever one's most convenient for you. Links are all down in the description below. So yeah, thank you again for watching and I'll catch you all next time. Bye!